Ralph. Morning, Sam.
All right, and welcome back to Morning Sam, Morning Ralph. I think this is episode 8, 9, 10, 12, who knows? But guys,
anybody's guess.
It's anybody's guess. We are clocking in today with an awesome guest. But before we get started and introducing Angela Diffley of RTN, I was so happy that we finally get her on. But guys,
Yeah.
a crazy week. What the hell just happened?
Dear God, we just went to a little show out in Texas where a bunch of people get together to talk about technology. It is amazing. Like over the last year and a half, 2 years, ever since AI started coming up as a major subject, a lot of people are talking about what's the utility out there, right? And it seems like our client has hit on a really strong, a couple of our clients hit a really strong utility. But we had, two that were represented there. Kerbit was there doing their thing, and they had some great conversations. And then there's this really interesting splash thing that happened around our other client, Nomad Go, that was at the show. I've never been the belle of the ball. I'm the pretty girl.
Oh my
for
God,
once.
you finally got to wear the crown, you little weasel.
They like me. They really, really like me.
They dumped like a
God.
bucket of pig's blood on you at the end.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have to do that part, so maybe that's later, right? But Chad, I mean, what did you think, man?
It was above expectations, to put it simply, right? From the day one, right, the early morning breakfast meetings to the late night parties, it was nonstop for the whole time, and so
Yeah.
it's gonna take some recovery time for sure.
The
Or
defining
your
moment
voice
for
is still
me,
working on it.
the defining moment for me was when the guy actually cried.
Yeah,
You made someone cry?
There was an operator that came there. This is a leader of a pretty significant brand, and he's like, "You don't know what this is going to mean to my people." And he authentically meant it because he knew in all the AI buzz.
Yeah.
All anybody can ask for is some amount of time back in some way, shape, or form, right? Whether you're not chasing down inventory or whatever the case may be, or saving your people time, but that's our only commodity. At the end of the day, that's all there is. And so he got that. He got what it meant to everybody. And
Well,
man, there were people dragging people over.
We make connections and we make people cry. And if we can do one of those things today,
yeah,
then I think we win, right?
Yeah, I'm talking like Little House on the Prairie, like it went really well crying, like your mom used to do when you're a kid, like, oh my God, why is my mom crying? She's watching Little House again. Oh my God. Or it was Richard Simmons.
All right.
Got him
So
old.
Chad, today's topic is like so far up your alley with regards to, we're talking about the power of collaboration in restaurant tech, right? And as our resident partnership guy, I know that you were super excited. So I'm going to let you do the honors of introducing our very special guest, Angela Diffley. Go for it. Do it.
Thank you. Angela is joining us on this episode of Morning Ralph, Morning Sam. She's the co-founder of Restaurant Technology Network, as we sometimes refer to it as RTN, as most do. It's a vibrant membership community dedicated to the restaurant technology industry. And I want to ask Angela very quickly about the mission, but from my seat, it's about standards. You're going to hear us talk about standards. Oh my gosh, it came up at the booth at Nomad based on one of the members, premier members, Rob Peterson of Oracle. Super big fan and advocate, but yeah, Angela's awesome and just a massive friend of the industry. So
let's give her a round of applause. Welcome, Angela.
Welcome, Angela. Woo, woo, woo.
Wow, I feel like such a celebrity.
You are.
I don't even know how to follow that, but I am grateful to be here. Thank you for having me, and it's exciting to just collaborate. I think the theme of this episode is collaboration, and that's what we're doing right here on this podcast. So thank you for putting this together and bringing me on.
Absolutely. Angela, if I want to get into one quick question right away, because I think it's easy to describe an organization, but I think when I think of RTN, I think of a mission, right? It's a little bit different than a, org description, right? So for you, Angela, in RTN, what is your mission? Because I think it's really exciting.
Right. The mission really is to help restaurants innovate faster. I mean, if I could just sum it up, and I think that's what we're all trying to do, whether you're a consultant, like you all do so brilliantly. And I'm so excited to see this dream team together and doing this in the industry. But whether you're a consultant, whether you're a supplier, or whether you're a restaurant, we all want one thing. We want to be able to innovate. We're excited about technology. We geek out about it. And I think without collaboration and unique partnerships, we can't, we can't really innovate.
No.
And standards is going to drive that innovation forward. So standards is sort of the cornerstone of the foundation of what we do. Certainly we want data standards. We want technology standardization to be like the foundation of what we build our platforms on so that we can all plug and play and connect and have interconnectivity and have this collaborative environment in the industry whereby restaurants can choose the best solution that they need rather than just the one that fits. So that's kind of what we're all about.
That's a really good point with regards to standards, right? I remember many moons ago. First of all, how long have you been doing this now? RTN?
I've been doing it about 7 years, although it took us about a year to kind of create it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
about 6 years.
Well, I remember it must have been 6-7 years ago. We're at MURTEC, and I remember seeing you for the first time. I'm in my booth at my company, and you're like, Paul, I want to talk to you about this new program, this new thing. It's restaurant
I remember that
technology.
too.
Yeah, I remember. She must
Yeah,
have the
yeah.
same exact conversation with like every.
You know those guys at Crunch Time?
Yeah.
No, it's just
It's like, well, if we do it, Data Central can't do it, right? I
exactly.
mean, you must have just to navigate all of that insanity with all of these different restaurant tech companies,
Mhm.
and then trying to convince them to all work together for the betterment, really, of their customer constituency. It's an incredible value proposition. You pulled it off.
Oh, gosh.
Congrats.
I would love to think that I pulled it off, but I tell you, we're still a work in progress. Like everybody,
Work in progress.
standardization is certainly a marathon, not a sprint. And
Yeah.
we do have some early adopters, and we have some really exciting things we've done, some standards we've actually released into the wild. And we now just launched an object model repository where you can go in and play around and like look into the data standards and the attributes and pull things out of the message format that you
Wow.
want. That's a big deal that just launched a few weeks ago. And we already have probably about 60 people in the industry who have gained access to it and are in there looking at the standards and attributes and pulling things out and trying to make things work in their own organizations, restaurants and suppliers alike. So that's super exciting to see the traction.
Yeah.
So we're starting to see it move, but it is taking a while. And I think that some people still feel like, um, this is my proprietary solution. This is how I can make money by
This is how I stay sticky because I can only use my stuff.
Right.
Right.
right. And
Right.
don't you all agree, being in the industry for as long as you all have that's kind of the old way of thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you could probably point to a whole bunch of failures historically of things that never got off the ground as they should have because there were no standards.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the barrier of complicated integrations that don't need to be, right?
Yeah, and the bottom line is restaurants, this is their number one challenge. I mean, you hear it in time and time again. And I'm sure you all heard it even at FS Tech, every single major industry event. It's like nothing talks to anything, and I wanna do this cool innovative new thing,
Yeah.
but I've got this old system, or I've got a system that kind of is a little bit closed, or that I can't easily integrate something into, or they're not integrated already, or they're not partners. I mean, I saw some news this week about, Tip House and QSR integrating with QSR
Yep.
is integrating with Toast. And then I saw
Mhm.
CBS North Stars integrating with Open Table. So I'm seeing some cool integrations and things happen.
Yeah.
Well, we always do. What would be
But are
great
they
is
repeatable?
if it were just massively, the data standards, it would just be so much easier for these integrations to take.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's usually the first question a buyer asks a vendor is, are you integrated with so-and-so? It's like that is almost the dependency to the conversation in many cases.
It's probably in the RFP,
Right.
right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not privy to like what RFPs say in the devil in the details, but sure
Yeah.
that, if you already are integrated, or there's a restaurant already using, say, an Ovation or something, and then you have
Mhm.
this platform. I'm not sure if Ovation sits on top or has to integrate, but you know what I'm saying? Like if you see it already working with something, you're more open to exploring that option for yourself because you just know that you're going to avoid so many headaches.
Man, it's battle tested.
So that's
Right.
like the partnership end of the whole thing, right? So we talk about collaborations, but in some ways it's also about partnerships. Like literally, Chad, I mean, talk a little bit about how these companies can come together and find opportunities to grow.
Yeah. So, I mean, if the engineers in two different companies or more, right, put their heads together and put enough time and energy into it, they can integrate anything. I think the problem is then that's just, and it may be very unique from a different integration to the same product. The more you can standardize, the faster it's going to go, the
Yep.
cheaper it's going to be, the more reliable things will be, the more maintainable, etc. So, having sat in roles related integrations, I've seen that firsthand where, you know, parts of the business might be pretty good and there might feel like there's a little more standardization and than other areas where every time it feels like a one-off. I'm curious, Angela, like you've seen in other industries
Hmm.
do better in many regards. I'm curious, like for your perspective, what are like the real costs, right, of not having standards, but not costs related to like pie in the sky ideal world, but realistic in terms of what other industries have achieved, right? So, if you think like we got this right, what costs would we be avoiding that are actually avoidable?
Yeah, I would think that it would be not only the cost, but just like the things you can do that you couldn't do before. I mean, when you think about, what retail has done with IoT, or if you look at the hotel industry, which is,
Mm-hmm.
way above us when it comes to, I mean, look at the third party disruption that happened in hotels way back when and how
Yeah.
they've handled that and what they're doing to solve those problems. So I think there are challenges from other industries that we can learn from. But I also just think that, when you look at, as you were saying, reinventing the wheel every time to try to integrate something or customize something. With
Yeah,
the advent of AI and all of the innovative new technologies that are out there that really
Yeah.
chief innovation officers, chief technology officers, CIOs, and architects, like they want to get their hands on this stuff. They want to sandbox it, play around with it. They want to see what works. Look what Chipotle's doing with investing in all of this cool new
yeah,
tech and new avocado or whatever
Yeah.
the cool stuff that they're
The
investing.
cobots, the cobots.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
They're here. And we cannot, none of that stuff can really, talk to each other and be added on if you don't have, the data flowing from one thing to the other in a consistent manner. So really
Yep.
the standards are really table stakes in our industry and other industries as
Yeah.
well. And I'm not sure how far retail has gotten with their standards, but I know way back when, like my first job, my first big, corporate job with Epson America, arts committee was alive and well in retail. And that was, I don't even want to date myself and tell you how many years ago, but it was a long time ago. So, I mean, this is the first standards body the restaurant industry has ever seen. So we're really new to it, but it's really exciting the momentum we've gotten so far and just the big players that have come and joined us that really believe in it. So
Mm.
there really is a collaborative effort and a spirit among this industry where if we can do this, if we can move forward together and data point by data point incorporate standards, and we all are going to benefit from all this cool new tech that we see out there today.
What do you see as some of the barriers to getting there? Like what is the holdback?
I mean, I would ask suppliers that. I think that is the chicken or the egg thing. Well, if restaurants
Yeah.
want it, we'll build it, but restaurants
Yeah.
want it, but maybe it's
Yeah.
the same thing. Like if you're like with something like a DoorDash opening up its systems or something so that the data can flow to it. If you're
Hmm.
Brinker, you're going to get it. But
Right.
if you're smaller, SMB and you got 100 stores or whatever, you might not get the kind of advantages. I think that it's the pressure from the big enterprise brands that are ultimately going to move the
Mm.
needle, unfortunately, like it always is. But I
Mm.
think
Yeah.
we have, on the RTN board sets all of a lot of the powerful voices in this industry, and they have said they want it. So that's the reason we keep charging ahead is because we're not just
Yeah.
doing it because for the sake of doing it or because RTN stands behind it. It's because the restaurants want it. And so these are
Angela,
the big
that's
shows.
that's a great. So when you look at RTN's member restaurant brands and them wanting it, they clearly want it. They're a part of this and they're part of these discussions. How do you encourage and how's the organization encourage them to demand it of their suppliers? If they do, suppliers will quickly come on board, right? Because these operators are going to have multiple choices in any category of who they go with. You can say, hey, this is an opportunity to demand it of your chosen supplier. How is that going?
We have provided them with, letters with all of the brands that support it, for example, to send to their vendors. They obviously talk to their vendors. We have more and more restaurant operators that are saying they are asking it of their vendors. We also
Hmm.
are seeing it show up in our RFPs. So I
Nice.
think when the rubber meets the road, when it starts showing up in RFPs and people see that, oh, wow, this is something that might go into the qualifying factor of whether I'm selected over somebody else who is doing something and moving towards standardization, starts to
Hmm.
be real quick.
Well, let's just shift gears a little bit here and talk a little bit about RTN specifically and what it is
Yeah.
that you're providing your members. All right. So it's one. So maybe you can describe for how the organization works. There's different kinds of memberships. There's different
Yeah.
Sure.
types of members. Maybe kind of go over that a little bit.
Sure. So restaurant members join the organization without cost. We want all the restaurants to come in, right? Because all of our suppliers obviously want to know what the restaurants want, what are their challenges. I mean, the whole um, sort of premise of starting this was to solve the challenges for the restaurants and
Yep.
collaboratively with the supplier tech talent that we have, bring everybody together in sort of think tank style work groups and solve real challenges. So we have supplier members that pay a membership fee annually to join. And we also have consultants that pay an annual fee to join. And then what we do is we put together, like the AI share group that your friends
Mm.
Nomad Doe are going to show up on October the 8th. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
So, we put together these share groups where we like spotlight what's doing innovative in the industry. And we also put together work groups. So different ways to organically collaborate with like-minded
Hmm.
tech talent in the industry. And then we also use the power of our media brands, hospitality, technology, and MURTEC to advance whatever we're doing, right? To put whatever we're doing on stage. So if we develop a new standard, we cover it at MURTEC, right? If we create a new tool, we have a payback comparison tool, for example, is industry agnostic. It's not like an ROI calculator from the supplier. It's an
Right.
industry agnostic payback comparison tool, and it's a very sophisticated spreadsheet and super cool. And anybody can access that, right? We have a TCO native delivery calculator. We have KPIs that we've defined for the industry. So there's so many tools and they're free. You just go on the restauranttechnologynetwork.com website. You can go grab them all and
Yeah.
try to harness them and use them in your own organizations.
But who are the members? Are you? I mean, do you have to be a technology wizard to be on the to
No, I mean,
paid RTN? Or I mean, so who's your
so we
constituent?
love the technology wizards. So
Of course you do. Who doesn't love a
that's
good
our
wizard?
tribe. That's my tribe. All right.
Yeah.
But I have to say, everyone can join. Obviously the
Yeah.
conversations and the work groups, they're not exclusionary. You can join and be a fly on the wall and just learn and be interested in what we're talking about. You could also be an enterprise salesperson with deep domain expertise. You kind of have seen feet on the street. You know what's going on out there in the field. Or you could be a marketing person who's contributing to our customer. For example, we had a customer record data standard where you just talk about
Yeah.
what kind of information would you want to know from a customer
Yeah.
to enhance loyalty. So there's a little place for everybody if you're in the restaurant
I
industry.
gotta stop you right there because here's the thing. Like, I'd be completely bullshitting you if I said that I was a technology diva, right? Like I can go in there and I can talk tech with the best of them. Of
Sure,
course not, but I can apply tech
sure.
in my field of expertise. So so I like going to these RTN events online and these workshops because I get to be a fly on the wall and I get to peek into some of these different tech conversations and understand where things are going. And as a marketer, I can then process that in my own marketing brain,
Mhm.
right? And start to think about how that is going to influence what I do or what I can do for my clients or my company, right? So, yeah, you don't have to be a tech wizard to get the value, I think, out of the knowledge that RTN
Well,
provides.
gosh,
Yeah.
like what about their startup alley, right? And near and dear to our hearts, right? Those brands that are trying to break out and break through,
Yeah.
and that. Can you share a little bit about that with us, Angela? Because that's
Yes.
something I just absolutely love about what you could do. In fact, I think that's a point of key differentiation. When I look at Startup Alley versus Innovation Alley, you have the awards and there's something really special about what you do there.
Yeah, it's a really cool process. So basically, we were trying to figure out a way to break through at MURTEC so that the
Hmm.
incumbent, people that have always come to MURTEC, which is awesome. We have those like core people that always come every year, and that's great. We want to still have them there, obviously, but we needed to bring in new innovative companies and we needed to find a way to do it. And we came up with Startup Alley. And so basically a
Hmm.
competition, and we have 3 judges, and we take the RTN board of governors and we put all the applications in front of them.
Mm.
And then we narrow it down to 15, the top 15. And those 15 come to Startup Alley at MURTEC. And then we have 3 what I call celebrity judges, usually from big brands, and they walk through and they listen to every single one of those 15 pitches live in the
Yep.
alley. I mean, what a great value of that.
Kind of like a Shark Tank kind of thing, right?
Yeah, we call
Yeah.
it Shark
Yeah.
Tank. We call it
Michael, I remember us. We submitted
We-
Devour.
Yeah. And
Devour
yeah.
was in the top 3 this past cycle.
Yeah.
So they were on stage. So what happens is after the live pitches, sort of in the booths, if you will, like just for
Mhm.
one-on-one, like they just kind of ping pong through the alley and the 3 judges, and then after that we deliberate. We go into the secret room, and I get to hear all this cool stuff.
Ooh.
All these judges start to tell like who they liked and why.
I
and
knew
what
they
won.
had a secret room.
Oh, it's so cool. And so then they've picked the top 3.
I bet they're wearing robes and hoods. Like,
And then they have paddle.
oh, yeah.
And they
very
have
good.
magic
Yes,
wands.
exactly.
It's all Harry Potterish, just very Harry Potterish.
I was thinking more
Sorting
like
hat.
fraternity.
Yes, I like
yeah.
a sorting hat. Yes.
The sorting hat, right. So then we choose the top 3, and then those 3 get to pitch live on stage at MURTEC, which is huge, right? And the shorts, we
Yeah.
call it Shark Tank, and we have the big, visuals, and the judges sit on stage and get to rapid fire questions after their pitch. And then
Yeah.
the audience votes live for the winner. So that's kind of how it goes in a nutshell, but it's so super exciting every year. It's my favorite part of MURTEC every year, and to just see these
What
innovative new entrepreneurs on the scene.
what other points of differentiation does RTN have that you feel against other groups in the community that operate? I won't even name names to let you just hang out there. But what do you think really stands strong?
I think everybody has a place, first of all. I mean, there's
Yeah,
so
of course,
many
of
different
course.
ways we can all collaborate in the industry. And the more we get together, the better we all are. But I think the standards thing would be the one thing that I think that we do really well. And also all of the guidance that I mentioned
Mhm.
on our website, just the technology documentation and guidance that we've created with the
Yeah.
collaboration of the whole industry, putting their whole tech talent into those pieces. And I do think they're underused. I wish that we had more adoption and people just go in there and grab those tools and use them for something, and then tell us how
Mhm.
you use it, because we want to know that what we're doing is making a difference. But we do hear from folks that are adopting standards already, and what a difference that's made in their organizations.
Guys,
Angela, what are some of the
Chad,
technologies?
I want you to hold on
Go
to
ahead.
that thought for 1 second. We're at the 20-minute mark. I just want to take a break real quick, and when we come back, Chad, we'll get to your question, and then I want to make sure that we also cover off on some of the future tech that we're seeing and what's getting really, really hot right now. So, guys, we'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail.
And now for a message from our sponsor.
I love this guy. Hey, guys, and we're back. So, Chad, I so rudely interrupted you, but I think I know where you're going. Let me see if I can.
I think you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Angela, I wanted to ask you about, and you have a special lens into this because of Startup Valley, because of kind of companies and people you're working with at RTN. What are some of the technologies that are emerging that are exciting you? I mean, and even ones that will probably benefit from the standardization work.
So, it's funny. Someone posted on LinkedIn the other day, "Sell me this pen," and it was a cartoon, and the other guy said,
Classic.
"It has AI." So I think that the answer to that is everything AI is so exciting right now. But what is real, right? What's real and what's
Yeah.
so just like everybody used to say, we have an open API, and then you really didn't know what that meant. I think that's
Yep.
what we're going through a little bit with AI, but on steroids. But
Yeah. Same thing with like IT strategy. What was your IT strategy? Now what's your AI strategy? Like, I need a hot cup of that AI, but what do I want?
yeah,
What do I need it for?
and what can it do? So, I mean, we did have a winner at Startup Valley this past year that did a Copilot ChatGPT style AI solution, which I thought was super slick. You could ask it anything. For example, you could say it was called Expo. I want to give Dave Liu his due there.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Good stuff.
it's really cool. You could ask it, for example, like how many, what do our beverage sales look like over the enterprise for the last month? And how does that compare to last year? And why do you think they're down? And it would give you like actionable reasons, and it would really
It's
just
almost like talking as if your business had a brain and had a
totally.
personality, right? It was like it's the West world of your business. Pretty
And when we
wild.
think about, the shortage of really talented GMs that can, kind of jump into that managerial role in a restaurant, just imagine if we had automated AI copilots to help them guide them. I mean, it could open the labor significantly if we had that kind of sort of bird on the shoulder kind of AI smart interface telling them not only what to do, but how to do it.
Yeah. It's funny. I think with AI, there's still this idea of AI as a feature versus a product. I mean, is it a product or is it really a feature? And I think that there's probably a bit of both. For some companies, AI is a feature. Like
Mhm.
you integrate some AI functionality to enhance the value of your product, whereas other
Right.
companies, yeah, their product is AI. And I think, just over the last week, that demonstrated that really well. For example, with Nomad, I mean, this
Yeah.
is an AI product through and through. It's a product.
But
Cool.
the real utility though,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
right?
more
really
utility.
cool. I mean, anything with computer vision to me is sort of the things with computer vision that are being done are astounding. And I think the only trepidation I would have, like if I were a restaurant operator, is you know legal concerns like compliance and data and like and privacy. And like if I'm doing sentiment analysis or something,
Yeah.
camera or if I'm even
PII, right?
voice bots, when McDonald's
Mm.
got trouble in Chicago. I mean, what's happening in the future of voice bots? We're actually having a town hall coming up on that about voice bots knots. And we're going to have a data privacy expert talking about
Uh,
that from a law firm.
Well,
She's incredible.
well, gosh, when you go to the Sphere in Vegas, you actually have to sign a waiver because it's going to remember you.
Tell me
And
more.
I
There you
will
go.
Here
forgive
comes
people.
here comes Johnny Carson.
Interesting.
It'll recognize and remember you. So you have to sign a waiver on the way in. The AIs will acknowledge you and say, "Hey, welcome back, Bob. It's good to see you again. In fact, you look a little sad and you're running a temperature."
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, literally. The
Nobody in
greeters,
Vegas should have a
they
problem with
speak in
that.
every language,
It's
right?
already
Yeah, but they
Does it
they
come
know
with a
you. They'll
chip?
remember you.
Like, here's a
With
$10 chip.
Yeah. You want to see an interesting use of AI, like almost like a tech demo. When you get to Vegas to the next show, go to the Sphere,
mm,
talk to literally the greeters are AIs.
the
They're in the
Wolverines, yeah.
lobby and they remember every guest.
That's amazing. It is super
Yes.
amazing. And then, I also want to give a shout out to robotics because I love robotics and I don't know why, but I just love the idea of what they could do.
Didn't you just take a field trip over to Mesa or
I
something like
did.
that?
It was so
Yeah. What was
fun.
that? You met Flippy up front in
I met
personal?
Flippy and
Aw.
Flippy is super cool. And they're announcing something big at MURTEC in October about a new iteration of Flippy. And the new CEO over there, Rich Hull, he's all about scaling the solution and making it affordable, attainable, and really tangible for restaurant operators. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see him on stage because he's going to be talking to the CIO of El Pollo Loco, who incidentally is not a miso customer. So I was like, let's get you on stage and let's get you asking the questions that all the other restaurant operators have on their minds. So that's going to be fun.
That is gonna be
Wow.
really fun. I mean, I was actually just talking I was on Paul Barron's podcast yesterday for the Restaurant Masterminds podcast, and the big topic of conversation came up when robotics came up. One of the big looming questions is, well, this is great, and you can certainly see the applications for it all, but my goodness, it's gonna cost a fortune, isn't it? And cash is so hard to come by nowadays, where you have restaurants, all brands are doing anything they can to try to, get more capital. So where's the big robotics push gonna come from?
I think, I mean, if you want my 2 cents, I really think it's, one of the coolest things is autonomous delivery. And I
Mm,
really like drones too. I mean, I really do believe that there's gonna be a time when the delivery dilemma will be solved with robotics.
yeah.
And, already, I mean, Coco Robotics, a little cute little company out of LA here, they just signed a deal with Uber Eats. Shake Shack just announced a deal with
Yeah.
Serve Robotics to deliver autonomously. So I think I don't know why, but in LA it seems to be like the hotspot for these little autonomous little robotic delivery vehicles, and that's picking up speed. But I do think in the future drones will be more tangible too. But in the back of house, certainly Flippy has made some real traction, like in brands like White Castle.
Yeah.
And Chipotle, they're doing they have a Flippy, a Chippy, a Sippy, and a Drippy, I think. But I think the Flippy is the most. I mean, they all are named for what they do. But going to their warehouse there in Pasadena was cool because you could see all the engineers just like trying to break the robot, doing things. It was just really cool, like what they're developing there. And I think just the innovation behind it and the excitement behind it.
Let's talk about innovation for a second though, right?
Yeah.
Because when we talk about robotics and innovation and back at house, I mean, we have massive restaurant equipment companies, okay? Like, for example, what kind of what are the good people at Blodgett doing, with pizza ovens and collaborative robotics? What are the people at, oh my God, of course, we gotta get these restaurant equipment manufacturers inside the technology game.
Well, they need to OEM the tech inside the restaurant pieces. Like the big equipment needs to OEM the restaurant pieces and parts to make their stuff smarter. I mean, that's kind of where I see it happening. Like it's the
Yeah.
smart ovens that Brinker rolled out at Chili's. They cook the steak perfectly every time. They spent a lot on it,
Mm,
but they say it's going to make them $1 billion or save them $1 billion in go backs of steaks that aren't cooked properly. So when you
Yeah.
think about, they're already doing it. There are smart ovens. There are so many smart devices. When you go to CES and walk around,
Yeah.
right.
there's smart everything when it comes to kitchens and not only just consumer. So I think it's coming, but it's interesting to see where they will diverge and how.
Are
Yeah.
you going
Yeah.
to CES this year?
I don't know if I'm going this year. I went a couple of years ago, but I loved it. I want to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know a friend of mine and I are trying to get over there for the show, where we bought our tickets. So
I'm
if you
sure,
go,
isn't
let
it?
us
It's
know.
overwhelming.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The one time I went is when drones actually were launched. It was the first time anybody saw, drones as kind of a large commercial product. It was really exciting. So yeah,
Yeah, it's super exciting to see and just to imagine. But to your point, Paul, what's real and what's really tangible, what can really happen. But I do think we're starting to see some cool,
Yeah.
especially with the rise of minimum wage being $20 now in California, the state of California. It's almost as if the robotics are becoming affordable because when you think of the alternative, so it's all relative.
Right. Well, it's relative. And I think that, brands like Chipotle that are incredibly successful and that are paving the way, it's like anything else, the prices will come down after somebody's got to make the big investments before everybody else can start to benefit.
Right.
All right, let's take a turn here and go to everybody's favorite part of the program.
hate to tell you, but
Michael, can we please get some effects on that?
Hate to tell you, but
Love it, dude.
all
This
right.
is yes. This is why he's here. All right, so we have. Hate to tell you, but Angela, and
Hate to
this
tell
is
you.
your opportunity, kid. All right, to right what's been wrong, right?
Oh,
To blow up a misconception, to set people
sure.
straight, right? Come on, let's
All
get
right.
into this. All right,
Yeah.
This is just
Yeah.
my personal opinion.
all right.
Tear down the
I hate
walls.
to
What is
tell
it?
you, but I think the robots are coming. I think they're coming, and I think the misconception is that they are too expensive. What you were saying earlier, I do think that they are. I mean, you've got you've got autonomous delivery. You've got some people like Bear Robotics doing it in the dining areas. You've got drone capabilities in the future. You've got back of house robotics. You've got smart ovens. You've got autonomous restaurants that are doing
It's
everything
happening. I
robotic.
hate to tell
Yeah,
you, but
yeah.
their robots are coming.
They are
They're coming.
coming, and I almost hate to say that it's I hate to tell you because I'm for one excited about it, and I know people feel like, but it takes the hospitality and the personality out of a restaurant, but I really think we can coexist whereby people can become true hospitality people, and the people who are the most hospitable can be hired to really be the face of that brand, and or you can have something like a Jolly B&B, delighting people as they come into a store
Yeah.
and still have a barista, that Jollibee's invested in making your cool drink. So I just think there is got to be a time where we mix these two worlds a little bit more expertly than we're doing now, to the delight, I think, of consumers who are ready for that kind of automation and quick, turnaround on their food.
Yeah,
Elon would agree with you.
yeah. I
Well, that's
mean,
sort of scary, but okay.
A lot of people are banking on that being true, right?
Uh,
I mean, it's a whole industry that's ramped.
absolutely. Listen, it all boils back down to blocking and tackling on hospitality, right? And that means quality food delivered conveniently, with great value, consistently, right? And I think
Absolutely.
what the robotics really bring to the equation is that element of efficiency and consistency, and that is a huge part of the equation.
They don't have bad days.
It,
They don't.
They
They
don't
don't. They
need
don't yell
tips.
at us.
They don't need
Yep.
tips, and they don't get hurt. So safety wise, and like in a fryer situation in the kitchen, I mean, it's phenomenal to know that you're not putting your employees in harm's way.
well, I can't wait for the TikTok videos of robots like doing something.
But
with
biffing
humans.
it. Yeah. You know what? It's funny. I was just at a conference a couple of weeks ago, and there was a panel discussion, and the question was, "Is AI a friend or an enemy?" Right? And it was asked to the IT folks, and some people actually paused, and it wasn't because it is or isn't. It's the myth. They hate to tell you, but it isn't your enemy.
Mhm.
It's going to help people's jobs. It's going to let people do what's more meaningful, right?
I like to think that it will allow our individual DNA creative energies make the world a better
Yeah.
place. If it's obviously it has to be used with ethical mindfulness.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's something that I think, it's with anything. Anything has to be done with ethical mindfulness, even if you're not using AI in the world. So I just think it's a different level and it's a different speed and a different capacity for it. But I for one am excited about the future because I do think it can help solve some of the big challenges that we face in the world, but time will tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. But gosh, for all of us, what an exciting time to be alive, right? Like when we were kids, we literally dreamed about this, the shows we watched, Star Trek and stuff, all the stuff we talked about.
Jetsons.
Yeah, I was just about to say that next. Like, yes. Like literally, we could have a Rosie in our
That's
house
right.
helping us
Rosie
out
the
now,
robot. She was always
Yeah,
vacuuming. She was always
Yeah.
vacuuming. The place must have been spotless.
Yeah, it must have.
Love it.
Yeah. I love
This
it.
has been good. Chad, why don't you help us wrap this thing up?
And so, Angela, thank you for everything you've shared from the benefits of being an RTN member, from the good work you're doing in the industry to some of the cool thoughts and discussion around future innovation. But why don't you tell everybody what, the 1, 2, 3 things you'd ask everybody to do to connect with you, learn more, and be a part of this movement?
Yeah, thanks, Chad. I would say just, connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where kind of I share, all these cool things I see. And then if you want to be a part of RTN or if you want to just be a test driver and come in and just check it out, just reach out to me and my team and I will make sure that you get involved. There are some cool things coming up like that AI share group on October the 8th. And then we have that data privacy around the chatbots coming up. And I don't know the date off the top of my head, but everything's on the website. I would just say
Yeah.
start there. There's a little form if you're interested to know more, or just reach out to me directly. But we look forward to just the more we have, the more people in the industry that care about this stuff in the community, the stronger we all will be, and the better the results and the better the output we can deliver to the industry. So I would encourage everybody to get involved.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
And we hope to see some of the community at the MURTEC Executive Summit next month.
Yep.
And so, Angela, this has been a great conversation. Hope a lot of people hear it and can learn more about the RTN as a result. So,
A lot of fun.
I-
Thank you.
And I'm going to apologize in advance for the bear hug and the amount of stuffing I'm going to squeeze out of you when I see you down there. So, you know me,
I'm ready.
big dumb animal.
I'm ready for it. Thank you all.
All
for
right,
joining
let's
us.
do it.
I
Yes.
love it. Angela, always a pleasure. Guys, what can I say? You're the boys. All right, fellas, lady, let's do this. Be
All right.
well.
See everybody.
Bye,
Have a
everybody.
great
Thank
weekend.
you.
Thanks for coming. Yeah. Morning, Sam. Morning, Ralph. That's a wrap.
Clocking out, babe.
Yeah.
See ya.